Small Town EP here live from Atlanta. Big Kev Shot It live from South Florida. Wade Julian live from New York City. ATS Pod would like to extend condolences and thoughts and prayers to the family of Bill Walton, who we did lose today in the sports world after a battle with cancer. We're talking about a two-time NCAA champion, two-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, MVP awards, numbers retired. His number was retired in Portland. Just an outstanding career. So I want to send our thoughts and prayers and give a moment of silence. Gentlemen, very good to see you. After a nice little Memorial Day break that we had, we're here. From flat earth to round ball, man. Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic combined for 66 points in Game 3 of the Western Conference NBA Finals to the tune of 116 to 107. Kev, what's been the biggest difference in this Minnesota team from round 2 to the conference finals?
I think two things is one, Rudy Gobert is getting killed in the pick and roll. They're pretty much hunting him, bringing him out on the perimeter. And the second thing is Anthony Edwards just kind of looks like he's running out of gas.
Like you?
Yeah, like I was just about to say. My goodness. But yeah, so I think those are the two biggest things is Dallas, I think, is more equipped to take advantage of Rudy Gobert on the perimeter. And the fact that Anthony Edwards just looks like he's kind of slowing down. Hasn't really since Game 7. Really, he hasn't had that offensive, the offensive numbers. His efforts there, but offensively, his jumpers just not falling like it was in the first several games of the playoffs. Yeah, so I think it's a combination of the two.
June?
I mean, to touch on like the Rudy Gobert thing, I think the matchup is just different this round. You know, they had Jokic and Cat and Gobert were responsible for a tough task and guarding the best center in the league. And yeah, they played a better pick and pop game with the Jamal Murray pick and roll game with the Jamal Murray and Jokic 1-2, but this backcourt is just way too dynamic, for a guy like Gobert. And I also think that kind of is also the bigger difference. Just having two combo guards who can score, pass, from anywhere on the court. It just makes life really, really tough when you're talking about, ISO switch and just kind of picking apart a defense. Kyrie Irving is really showing how valuable he is as a player in this league, as far as maturity, as far as like the sense of calm that Luka Doncic talks about in the post-game press conference. He gives him a lot of credit for helping this team stay the course, not get too high, get too low. Kyrie's been here before. This isn't his first conference finals. He's undefeated in elimination games, so it's looking like Dallas gets the sweep there tomorrow night. But yeah, I think that having the bigs was a advantage for Minnesota in the second round. But right now we're seeing that Daniel Gafford, an athletic big, and Derek Lively, another athletic big who's a rookie, are making a lot of the difference because their versatility in the front court is kind of showing the weaknesses of Gobert. And then Cat really just is underperforming at this point. I don't think that his game has so many flaws. It's more so he's not able to put it all together in this round. And much like Kev said, Anthony Edwards looking like he's running out of gas. I mean, can you blame him? He's a two-way player. And, Ernie, Jimmy Butler's best friend, Ernie, he shot out a tweet. It was last night or today. Like, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be a two-way player in this league. And you're going to have to exert yourself on both ends of the floor for 48 minutes or forever how long you're playing. And then when you got a guy like Luka Doncic who's a bigger guard, and then somebody like Kyrie Irving who can just switch his pace. It's tough. It's tough to stay, afloat. And I'll say this, I was talking to two of my friends yesterday, and they were like, well, yo, Anthony Edwards should have never called out Kyrie Irving. I think that was a mistake. And my first thought was like, that wasn't a call out, in my opinion. I was like, that wasn't a call out. Like, I thought he was like kind of just taking not just the most humble approach, but just like a competitively humble approach where he's like, hey, well, my next matchup is Kyrie Irving. Let's see how I can do against him. Whereas they saw it as like, nah, he's calling out Kyrie Irving as the next matchup. And then so we were at the bar, and some other dude randomly was like, yo, he should have never called out Kyrie. And I'm like, I mean, I guess that is how, everybody saw it.
But that's also who he's been. I mean, you remember like the KD trash talk when they
Yep.
were like, and
Yep.
KD loved it. Like
Nah, yeah.
it's basketball, and I think, and I tweeted it a couple weeks ago, and it's funny because now that they're down 3-0, like I'm starting to see it. I said, remember all the love that Anthony Edwards is getting now because losers hate winners, and
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before the losers start to come out. And
Yeah.
now he's down 0-3. And sure enough, I've seen more hate tweets towards Anthony Edwards on my timeline today than I have all together.
Yeah.
So
And to that point, I'm with Anthony Edwards and being the person he is and calling out whoever he's going to call out or talking his shit, because that is how he is, and that's what kind of fuels him to keep getting better. I didn't even take it as a call out, but I guess looking back at it, yeah, it kind of was. And Kyrie Irving doesn't need any extra motivation. I think Kyrie Irving has this chip on his shoulder that not a lot of guys in this league have. And Kyrie Irving receives a lot of hate from people who you might not understand why. But hey, like you just said, Kev, losers hate
winners.
Winners.
And it's funny that you mentioned Kyrie not needing any extra motivation because he's actually going to get some in this next round.
Oh
So.
yeah, oh yeah. When you see Boston, I wonder if he's gonna walk around stage in the arena next round, or if he's gonna stop or flick a fan off. Like we're gonna get all of that next finals.
Facts. You gotta find the Kyrie Irving at least one game where he goes off for 50 in the NBA Finals. Future prop bet. Going back to the Timberwolves, I mean, I think the matchup is a lot of it. Like June was saying, just the matchup between different players. Minnesota has to figure out that lineup in the last couple minutes of the game to be able to close out. I mean, I, do something with Mike Conley. I don't know. It's just they do one thing to fix one thing and it hurts them somewhere else. I feel like matchup wise. So it's like they don't really have a lot of room to play with. And Cat being 4 for 32 in 3 games from three. I get shooters shoot, keep shooting, but you gotta eventually maybe not shoot that ball.
And we talked about it uh, maybe a week or right before the series started. Like these young teams always have this moment where they hit this, they have this failure where they make it and they have a great run and they upset the team that they weren't supposed to beat, and then they they lose in the next round or the round after. And um it didn't look like Minnesota that would happen to them in this round because of the matchup with Dallas. You just assume coming off of that Denver series win that they're going to ride that momentum into this Dallas series and be able to beat them. But Dallas has, to their credit, been, well, Luka and Kyrie, to their credit, have been sensational. And so, hopefully Luka can get some rest um, after a Game 4 win and get that knee healed up for the finals, and we can get a fully healthy series.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how that series will end tomorrow night. We do have a closeout game tonight in Indiana. Boston, game 4 at Indiana. Boston up 3-0. Oh, very interesting first half in that third game. Indiana seemed to be in the game at halftime, only to be outscored in the second half by about I believe it was about. I mean, I guess the final score was three. Difference of three. They were outscored 114-1. 11. 33-21 in the fourth quarter. June, is Boston going to close this game out tonight in 4 games and clinch your ticket to the NBA Finals?
100%. I mean, if we're talking about the Mavs and Dallas, are Dallas and Minnesota, I still think that Minnesota has a chance in that closeout game where they're still playing for a lot. Derek Lively will be out. There's a couple things that I feel, and from a confidence standpoint, Anthony Edwards, he's still on his Jimmy vibes. Like I still don't think they can beat us, but NBA teams are 154-0 in a 3-0 series. But to this Boston one, if game one didn't drain them mentally, game three had to really just take everything they had because you come out after losing a game that you had in your hands with seconds left in game one, you get blown out in game two, and you come back home in front of your crowd and you play amazing basketball for 2.5 to 3 quarters, up 18, and it just crumbles. And this was in the last minute and a half. Obviously the lead crumbled in that, third going into fourth or so like that. But they still had a 6-point lead with a minute 30 left or something like that. And just poor execution, down the stretch. Obviously missing Halliburton, I don't think is the biggest thing because being up 20 and being able to show that you can compete with this Boston team for a little bit over half a game, it has to do a lot to your confidence in a good way. But to see them just figure it out and find a way to claw this one out again in a game that should have been done, I don't know that Indiana is going to be able to recover from that. I think Boston also wants to prove that, yes, we can sweep a team. Yes, we did get an easy ride to the finals, and we're here. They shouldn't play with their food next game tonight. And so I'm expecting to see a hungry and a very, very ready to close out Boston team. Because if we're talking about rest, they'll be able to try to get this extra rest day if Minnesota is able to, win game 4. But yeah, you don't want to be that team that's kind of playing with your food and everybody's looking at you like, well, it's the Pacers. You should have won. And, Minnesota is the best team in the West, record-wise. Technically, 1 through 3 had the same record in the West. But Boston is essentially playing with house money right now. So, yeah, I do think they close out. And they probably win in a convincing fashion, too. I don't know that keep it a good game all game.
There you go. Speaking of house money, Boston 7.5-point favorites. Game 1 was a 5-point game. Game 2 was a 16-point game. As we just mentioned, game 3 was a 3-point game. Kev, does Boston cover the 7.5 this evening?
Yeah, I think so. It's like June said it perfect. I was gonna say it when he said it. If game one is as demoralizing as it gets. You're up on the road, game 1, chance to set the tone of the series, and Tyrese Halliburton, a ghost, knocks the ball away from him at one point as he's crossing half court in the fourth quarter. This Pacers team should write a book on how to give away a basketball game because they've given away 2 of them in a 7-game series. And that's how you lose a 7-game series. So yeah, I think Boston has taken everything from them. They were already the more talented team, especially once Halliburton got hurt. You clearly had more talent. Without Porzingis and with Halliburton, I think you can argue that this Pacers team had a shot. Game 2, you expect Boston to win a game like that, where they're just dominant and they're going to blow you out. But yeah, the Pacers, the way they played in game 1, I thought they have a real chance to at least make this series very interesting. And then Halliburton gets hurt in game 2 in the blowout, and game 3, you expect that kind of fight from those guys, but you lose that game in game 4. Now is just writings on the wall, and you win this game is kind of delaying the inevitable. And do you really want to go back to Boston? So I would I would expect Boston to be able to run away with this game tonight.
June, the line for tomorrow's game for Dallas and Minnesota. Opened at Dallas -3.5. The public seems to say put some respect on Minnesota. It's currently Dallas -1.5. How do you feel about that line? Is it a close game? Is it a high scoring game?
I do think it is a close game. I don't think it's too high of a scoring game. I think Derek Lively being out is a big key. I think so.
Mm.
And Minnesota is going to have to take full advantage of this tomorrow because I'm not going to put it like Lively is, the reason Dallas is here in the Western Conference Finals, but he's definitely a key component in what they have and what they've grown since even late February. This Dallas team isn't the same team from the trade deadline. Like from before the trade deadline, they weren't a bad team by any means, but we didn't see them as Western Conference finalists or true championship contenders. At least I didn't. And we didn't talk about.
Neither did Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, good point. We didn't talk about them as such either. They started to gain the traction after the trade. Daniel Gafford comes over, PJ Washington, and then in the playoffs, PJ Washington with his standing on business, Gafford making, plays. I think it's just this buy-in. It's this big buy-in that everybody's willing on that team to do whatever's asked of Coach Kidd. You got to give credit to Coach Kidd for where he's at, where he's, found himself through his coaching journey, being able to, like, bro, we grew up watching Jason Kidd. You know what I'm saying? We knew Jason Kidd as one of the best point guards of all time and one of the more creative minds on the floor, the coach on the floor, if you will. Him being able to coach Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving at the same time has to be a dream come true for him. And like, I think he's so tapped in mentally with that role that he understands where he needs to put them and how he can get the most out of them. And them essentially buying into what he's selling is helping them as a team because he's preaching defense too. It's not all glitz and glamour and flashy play. This is a go and get it. You know what I'm saying? Derrick Jones Jr. diving on the ball. Daniel Gafford playing with energy every single play. Derek Lively coming and being a all rookie second team, center. It takes a village, and Dallas certainly figured it out so far. To go up 3-0 on this team, I think it says a lot. However, with all that being said, I do think the Derek Lively injury, it means a little bit to where I wouldn't put that money on, the 3.5 or the 1.5. I do think Minnesota comes out and has a little bit of pride and tells themselves, look, I understand we lost 2 at home, but let's at least get 1 on the road. And if we could get 2 going back to Minnesota, like at least make it a little competitive. Minnesota's a team that can win 2 straight games. You know what I'm saying? This is no slouch. They're tired. It's the end of the road, but Dallas is tired too. Let's try to exhaust everything we have before it's truly over. And hey, history shows that this series is cooked. We've never seen it before. Last year was like our closest chance to seeing it happen when Boston came back on Miami. But we shut that up quick and went to Boston and beat them by 20. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't expect Minnesota to come back and make this a great series and go to 7 and win possibly. But I do think that they come up and lace the fuck up, word to my boy Breeze, and win the game tomorrow.
And I think Jason Kidd also, to Julian's point, like I think he deserves more credit just as a head coach overall and the things he's been able to do. Like when he was in Milwaukee, Giannis credited him for being the person to put the ball in his hands and really like give him the green light to just play his game. And so I think that, and also like who else is thinking of telling a player to bump into them so they can spill their drink and get a timeout?
Crazy.
Like that is diabolical genius. So
and then realized that the player didn't really hear him, so he even took the extra step. Like, yo, no, for real, bro, bump into me, man.
That's a J Kidd, man.
Yeah, that's a classy moment. It's a classy moment, classic and classy, to be honest. Gentlemen, real quick, before we get off of the NBA, Rich Paul has some comments. I want to know if this has any weight in your guys' head. He mentioned that LeBron James is a free agent, which is not official outside of LeBron James's, decision. He hasn't made a decision yet. Kev, I saw you smiling. What do you think? LeBron James is opting out of his player option this offseason?
He's definitely opting out. But I think he also is not going anywhere. I'd be surprised. He's done it. He's shocked me before and left a place that I thought he was staying when he was in Miami. So which by the way, if he stayed, he'd have more championships than he has now. But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, so I don't think he's going anywhere, especially with the reports coming out on JJ Redick, which by the way, you heard it here first on the All
Oh
Things
my
Sports podcast.
god.
Um, so yeah, I think especially if they hire JJ, which is probably going to happen after the finals since he is
Under
broadcasting,
contract, yeah.
and yeah, he's set to be on the announce team for the NBA finals. So um I think that's why this coaching search might be taking a little bit of time because I think that's going to be what ends up happening. But yeah, I think LeBron. Yeah, I think he's a free agent in their minds, but I think he's going to be back in LA.
June.
It's like LeBron. Nah, I'm not even gonna make it. I ain't gonna do that. He's gonna stay. Like I speculating with LeBron is I've tried it before. The only time that I did was before I was even able to really comprehend how it was going to work in Miami with Bosh and Wade and UD staying and having a rookie point guard and Chalmers. But otherwise, I was wrong. I don't know. Who cares? I don't think he's going to win any finals anymore. And I'm not saying this to be salty or anything like that. I'm just like, look, where LeBron wants to finish his career, he'll finish his career. If it's not in Miami, I'm not too concerned.
Hey, but the key's under the mat. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, no, come
doors
back,
open.
come back,
Doors
no,
open.
come back for sure.
And you can bring your son with you.
If he does find his way in Phoenix, it'd be very interesting. But let's be fucking for real. Exactly, let's be for real. Like, we're never gonna see LeBron James and Kevin Durant on the same team.
Jeez. I want to kick it over to the chat real quick. Cardi's in there saying Happy Memorial Day. Kev, Cardi says kiss the baby for him. God bless. Ray Cam in there saying the guys, and yeah, shout out Jason Kidd. And Ray Cam also said people saying Brown going to the Suns are smoking. I hope it's weed. I hope it's weed. I hope it's weed. You heard? I want to kick it over to the Iceman because our Florida Panthers have lost back-to-back overtime games.
Cardi, what up?
Facts.
See you soon, bro.
One of them at home in Sunrise yesterday to the tune of 5-4. They did outshoot the Rangers, and I want to get these numbers right. 37-23. That last second deflection goal in overtime was heartbreaking. Guys, did you watch that game?
Nah, man. You watched it, Kev?
Yeah, I did. I was at my parents' house, and my dad's a Rangers fan, so we were watching the game together. Yeah, it's tough.
Funny story. A kid I work with has a Rangers, like a very fresh Rangers, like windbreaker, and he wore it after game 2, and I was like, hey bro, you can't wear that to work for like at least a week and a half, my boy. Like, he's not even a fan, he just likes the jacket. He says it all the time. I think I've told him twice. He said he did it after game 2 and after game 3, and I was like, hey bro, like, you can't wear that for like a week and a half. I understand you think it's fresh, it's not fresh right now. It's actually hot, bro. Like, what are you doing? Great game. I mean, both of the overtime games were great, but this one was, I think, a touch better. Down 2-1. We've done it before. We've done it, down from farther before. We're not panicking yet. There is another game coming up. Go Cats.
The Panthers have, to me, seemed, and I'm not like a hockey enthusiast, but I enjoy watching the playoffs, and I catch a game every now and then on ESPN Plus. But it just seems to me the Panthers are the better team, and Shesterkin has been like great between in the goal.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just run into a hot goalie, and even so, the Panthers put it in the net 4 times yesterday. So they're getting it by him, but I think their strength all postseason has been, we're just gonna outshoot you, and they did that yesterday, and it just didn't work. So Yeah, I don't think there's any need to have concern over the Panthers. I think there's still I think they look at these two games and they say they got into overtime. We easily could have won these
Exactly.
games in
Exactly.
regulation. So
That's what I'm saying. Like, I, I think you have to be encouraged by it because, first of all, 5-4 is crazy, right? And to just, you know, down to be able to rally and then this is playoff hockey. This is like peak playoff hockey. We got two of the best. I think the Eastern Conference will win the Stanley Cup final ultimately, and so
Mm.
one of these teams is gonna be really happy in the next 3 weeks or so. But the Panthers shouldn't worry. You know, it's 2-1. They still won at home. Sorry, they stole one on the road. The Rangers stole it back, and now it's a series. Everybody won a game at home. Everybody lost a game at home. Well, Panthers haven't won at home. They gotta go get that game 4 now. So if they lose, obviously we start to fret. We start to panic. But I think the Panthers are fine. Like Kev said, just keep getting those shots on goal and challenging Shesterkin because nobody said it was going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? This Rangers team was probably the hottest team coming into the Eastern Conference Finals. And so, yeah, it's a challenge accepted.
and even if you do lose game 4, you did it last year. You came back 3-1 down and did it against Boston. They were the best team in hockey last year, and you were able to come back and win that series down 3-1. So I don't think they lose confidence. Even if they do lose game 4, I think they do win game 4, and I think they win it convincingly. But yeah, Bobrovsky also. I mean, some things like deflections. I think they had like 2 or 3 goals, the Rangers, that were just deflected and they can't do
Yeah.
anything about. But
And that deflection, like, oh, man, that was,
It's
that was
tough
heartbreaking.
because it was not on purpose.
June. You said Eastern Conference is going to win the NHL Stanley Cup. The favorite right now, according to Las Vegas, are the Edmonton Oilers at plus 230, followed by the Dallas Stars at plus 240, then the Rangers at plus 250, and the Florida Panthers are the underdog at plus 400.
I might go double down on them.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that they're the supreme underdog. But hey,
Hey, right? What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? I'm not gonna tell you who to put your money on there, but I'd say there's a $5 bill on the Florida Panthers to just win outright. Why not? In other news, Manchester City did lose to Man United in the English FA Cup 2-1. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. Oh yeah, June's a Man United fan. Let's go Man U. Yeah, it just didn't really seem like a game that City was interested in. Shout out to Man U for winning, right?
not the
Didn't
boy
really
Kobe, man.
you're didn't really say Manchester City was really too interested in another trophy as far as the FA Cup was concerned. But shout out to Man U, man. Rashford, very emotional after the game. It's beautiful for him to be able to put another trophy under his belt. The Stars and the Oilers do play tonight. This is the Western Conference NHL Stanley Cup Game 3. It's tied 1-1 in Edmonton. Dallas slight underdogs at plus 105. Edmonton slight favorites at minus 125. They're favorited to win the cup, so you know what? I'll take them at home in Game 3. Edmonton money line minus 125. Puck drops 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it still goes Stars just because Dallas might go up. We might take a trip to Dallas this summer. That would be a great time, gentlemen. You got any closeout thoughts before we get out of here?
Oh, thank you to everybody listening. Appreciate y'all. Happy Memorial Day. Excuse me. Rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers. Rest in peace to Bill Walton. Enjoy the rest of y'all day off. Don't drink too much if you work tomorrow. If you do, just make sure you get up and clock in on time. That's it.
Word up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. As we cross this 30-minute mark, this has been your Memorial Day All Things Sports Talk Show, your number one sports talk show. If you tuned in on the live, whether it was Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, or YouTube, we did multi-stream tonight for the first time. Appreciate everybody on Twitter. Appreciate everybody on YouTube that tapped in. If you're listening after the fact, thank you for taking time out of your beautiful day. We'll see you all Thursday.